Okay, this is the declaration which has been drafted by some of the continuous permanent members of our World Forum and who have participated in the meetings, in many of the meetings, and as a result of this participation were able to formulate some conclusions which we believe, which they believe, and which I also believe represent to a very large extent the opinions voiced during our meetings. So I think we reflect in this statement pretty much a sort of consensus, not a uniformity and not a unanimity, but a broad consensus about issues. So, declaration of the 11th Rhodes Forum, October 2 to 6, 2013. The contemporary world is dominated by various forces that threaten our humanist principles and a plurality of ways of life. A pervasive hegemony is imposing unilateral standards, or at least trying to impose unilateral standards, masquerading as global values, irrespective of cultural diversity. Persistent injustice exacerbates poverty and inequality, both within and between peoples and nations. Mankind faces the spectre of regional escalation that could lead to global confrontations. The continual domination, especially of financial capital, poses a growing menace to democratic life, as we have heard by previous speakers. Populists and extremists are on the rise. Now, some kind of populists, some kind of extremists. An impoverished kind of materialism tends to undermine our cultures, societies, and spiritual traditions around the globe. All these threats derive from a lack, we believe, from a lack of genuine dialogue that prevents or would prevent all the civilizations of the world from contributing genuinely to the common good of the world. So, in light of these beliefs and assumptions, the World Public Forum Dialogue of Civilizations reaffirms its basic fundamental commitment to the concept of the dialogue of civilization for solving today's pressing problems, for developing sustainable strategies towards a more humane world. 450 participants from 60 countries gathered for the 11th time in Rhodes to debate freshly these ideas to fix the world, or I don't like the term fix, but to improve the world, to modify the world, to bring about a better world, let's say. We are committed to a peaceful resolution of conflict, a critical engagement on the contentious issues of the time. So here are some of the principles which we all share, and I believe this is a common consensus that we share this. Committed to a peaceful resolution of conflicts, critical engagement on the contentious issues of our time. And for this purpose, we support international efforts to uphold, extend the conventions on the non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. So we start with chemical weapons, but we want to go further than that, all weapons of mass destruction, and not just in Syria, but elsewhere. We condemn any attempt to instrumentalize religious divisions for violent geopolitical ends, and we call in particular for a constructive Sunni-Shia dialogue, as Sandra Mustafa has pointed out before. We call for an urgent action to end the persecution of minorities across the world, including Christian communities in the wider Middle East and North Africa. There we had a panel I think was very important, because very many Christian churches are under attack, and there are still 2 bishops who are held captives by some rebels, and we must protest against this. We emphasize the role of ethical principles. We are basically an ethical community, as I tried to point out. strictly a political community, nor are we a church, but we are an ethical community. So we emphasize the role of ethical principles in organizing both businesses and the global economy. They organize the family according to ethical principles, but also the domestic businesses and global economy. We affirm the importance of the voice of civil society in domestic and international affairs. As was pointed out, we are a civil society organization, public forum, and this is not a governmental institution, but civil society institution. We propose the adoption of the platform of Trans-Eurasian Belt развитие. Now that's what the term I first heard here, and I am greatly enriched by this idea, развитие as a form of human development in the economy. An open partnership involving different stakeholders with the aim of generating an infrastructure revolution for social development. A new idea, beautiful idea, marvelously formulated, and I was on that panel with Raimundo. It's just fascinating idea. We promote the contribution of marriage and family to society and the economy, including family businesses and small, medium-sized enterprise. We encourage intergenerational dialogue and the participation of young people in public life. And for this, of course, we have our youth forum, and we are very grateful to our young participants for making such a great contribution to us. We depend on you, really. We depend on you young people. Well, I'm getting along, you see, in age, so I depend more than others on young people. We strive for a more environmentally stable future that preserves biodiversity for the sake of future generations. We believe in the enduring importance of education and lifelong training, notably vocational skills, but all kinds of skills, all kinds of human possibilities and talents, and we try to educate and support this. The World Public Forum, as a public movement, calls on movements of goodwill to join our World Public Forum Dialogue of Civilizations in the pursuit of all these goals. And this is the declaration, and if it is possible to adopt this declaration, I would say that if there's an opposition to the declaration, maybe that person could speak up and tell us what is wrong with it. Yes, ma'am.
It's not really an opposition, but I think something's been left out, because when you mentioned religious persecutions, you forgot West Africa as well. I think Nigeria is one of the countries undergoing serious religious persecutions by terrorists. So I think it shouldn't just be restricted to North Africa and the Sunni Shiite problems, but West Africa needs to be included.
Thank you very much.
Africa as a whole, because East Africa as well. Yeah. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the point where I should say, would you please support the resolution with your applauses? And finally, in my capacity, the chairman of All Public Forum, president of All Public Forum, may I declare the 11th session of All Public Forum to be adjourned. Meeting you at the reception.
Just as co-chairman, may I be allowed to end this with a poem or a prayer. I happen to come from a university in the United States, which is called Notre Dame University, and we have a great football team. And the football team is called the Fighting Irish. The Fighting Irish. And so I would like to conclude, since we are now departing and saying farewell to each other, and with your permission, I would just to present this Irish poem, or this Irish saying, which I think is very beautiful. May the road rise up to meet you. May the road always rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warmly upon your face, and rains fall softly upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.